I love it.
Have fun, as you see in the chat there. Osa immediately banned down, of course, is an operator that we've seen XSET play a couple of times in the past, and it's more of like a pocket pick operator. You can pick it on bank and go for a straight server attack. For top floor attacks, gives you nice lines of sight as well. That's going to be off the board. Nuke, similar story. Most teams will play Nuke at least one round when they're on the attacking side of bank to sneak around the map and work around that information game that you have with default cameras or other information ops like Valkyrie or Echo. Neither will see play, which means the pockets are empty, but we got more operators to go through. Mira follows next, first defending operator off the board, which leave a very undesirable, probably Valkyrie ban. If we had to be
Valkyrie, maybe Wamai.
Oh, never mind.
All right, things are going to get spicy in here.
I like that.
3 operators that have a very low ban rate that tend to be pocket bans depending on the map or the team they're playing against. I like that you point out the ability for Nook to fly under the radar. Her ability shields her, or rather cloaks her from cameras and other gadgets that are designed to see you. Yeah, there's a little bit of a shimmer effect that can give you an idea that there's a Nook in the general vicinity, but other than that, yeah, she's very effective on big maps. And what is Bank? I still believe Bank is the biggest map in the map pool. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. But because it's a big map with tons of big open rooms, Nook is not just effective on this bomb site, which is the bottom floor bomb site. Nook is also very effective at getting into lobby quickly.
Yes.
Or getting into stock trading upstairs very quickly. You can also just go through the garage, go up blue stairs, and then you're already on the first floor in square stairwell. And guess what? You can wreak havoc.
It's funny because if you go back like before, so you know, Bang was removed from the competitive map pool, now it's in again. If you go back to before it got taken out a few years ago, Jackal was the operator that was always banned because it made the map so simple. If you are roaming, you can walk in top square, look for feet on the staircases, and then you would know, okay, they have a roamer or not. Now Nuke has kind of taken that role instead, but for a much different reason, as you mentioned, Parker, and it's a stable operator on this map now as time has progressed. STK getting aggressive, not for a spawn peek before, Jonah might be hiding in that flower pot plant outside the double dwarf square. Handy here at the main stairs as well, so early aggression from FURIA, trying to find drones and deny those rotations. So far, they've only killed a single drone, so not a lot of damage has been done just yet.
You still got 4 in the pockets of XSET. On a map like Bank, get used to seeing almost all of these drones being employed at some point. As for the FURIA lineup, nothing really all that odd out of a basement defense. Smoke, great for the anti-plant. As are any nitro cells that might be in the hands of defenders, in which there are 2, one for the Kaid of Rare, and one for the Goyo of Handy. Additionally, the changes to Goyo have made him almost a better pick than he used to be on this map, because you've got those Goyo canisters that can go anywhere, and when they blow up, that fire lasts for 20 seconds, which in Rainbow Six Siege feels like eternity.
Oh, it is. I mean, you got 3 of them, right? So effectively, if you want to combine those numbers, you can die over 60 seconds, a full minute worth of time. Now, of course, stacking all 3 in the same position means they all die together from a single explosive. They're not super recommendable. We see Rare now trying to figure out exactly what hatch will be opened up first. You can deny a few pellets. I doubt they're going to be using an exothermic charge for the hatch. Normally those get saved for later on inside of server. And of course, if that's the case, you got the Maverick Gomez that can actually use his torch from the Maverick to do some quick work of those hatches instead. And that's exactly what they're going to be doing. While Yag will hold the blue stairs because there is a player there. Sitting tight, it's Miracle on the smoke with STK inside the server holding it down. That's the first line of defense for FURIA and the first big problem for XSET to solve.
I love hearing the yelps of a Maverick, by the way. Ha! Oh! Gomez is having...
Not a pretty time.
Gomez is having some problems.
But he's getting there.
He's already used half of the canister that he has, the gas tank, and it might not be pretty, but it works, and that's kind of my motto. So he gets the hatch open, and just like that, server is much easier to attack. So you want to burn out the ADSs. There's Jaeger playing behind the server stack. Have they given up an idea of the smoke being there? Oh no, Spirits, the grenade does the work that your gun can't, and the smoke of Miracle gets punched out as well. Gomez and Spirits walk right in, 2 big picks, and they've got server control. Adrenal Surge hits, and it leaves the 3 remaining players from FURIA inside of the bomb site to contend against whatever XSET wants to throw at them. It also sounds like an exothermic charge went off, which is the default plant spot now opened up. It forces the Goyo container to blow, which means 20 seconds of those flames. Smokes will put FURIA in a tough spot, but look at that. Rare is prepared for Kino. He drops Diffuser, needs to be planted. Gomez has access to that, and there he goes. But he's taken down by a Nitro cell. Adrenal Surge goes off, 4 seconds left. This one's real messy. XSET needs to take the gunfights, but Fantasy swatting them all away, and the time runs out, giving FURIA the win. Close, but no cigar for XSET. A masterful performance as XSET tries to get the Diffuser down, and FURIA says no.
A near perfect showcasing of just how chaotic the basement of Bang can be when you're trying to plant with less than 20 seconds left. And actually, the Goyo canister that was put there in the prep phase played a massive factor, because once the wall got opened up by the exothermic charge from Kino and the Thermite, well, that stalled out 20 seconds for the attacking side and had to punch in the execute at 14 seconds remaining. They dropped the hatch, Smokes went out, started planting, but a C4 that was carefully tossed through the smoke grenade killed one person, injured the second, and further stalled out the execute. And that is why FURIA managed to get the win of that round, because the timer simply hit 0. 1-0 currently. We're gonna go to the open area bomb set that most teams prefer to play on, and I think we're gonna see a lot of play here as well in this matchup.
Astralis is getting warmed up for their match. It's going to be occurring on the other stream. They're going to be playing against Chiefs. It's the last match of the B stream, and there's actually some heavy implications there, because if Astralis wins, they will be the 2nd team to clinch their spot in the playoffs after OXG did so earlier today, and it will also send Chiefs home. So it would be the first time that we say goodbye to a team. W7M was on the precipice of being sent home as well, but they managed to steal the match away after coming back on Oregon against G2, and they stay alive in the tournament. It's still a very long shot that W7M make it out of the groups, but there's a chance. They just need to pull it together tomorrow, and they might be able to do it. Either way, this is between FURIA and XSET. There are also obviously some complications with the series, because the 3 bottom teams, including CAG, all have 3 points. You want to try to take it in regulation without going into overtime. I honestly think you're at a point now where, because these teams all have 3 points, going to OT is considered a loss for some of these squads. You want to win in regulation if at all possible. You'll take a win in overtime, but it's not good.
Absolutely. Also speaks to, again, the competition at this level. Normally, you know, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, we were like, oh, this team's going to go further, that team's going to go further. But nowadays, it's anyone's game. Fantasy opens up the opening kill here for his team. That means that FURIA is once again in the driver's seat, sitting nice and comfy. On this opening at bomb site in particular, it is so nice having the man advantage, because there are so many angles that you can be attacked from. There's 2 hatches above, double door on main stairs, and double door on square, as well as a possible breach that can be opened up. Look at who he killed, Maverick. That means that the walls get a little bit harder to open, because Rare has picked up the mute. We can assume the jammers are going to be denying that breach, and now they got to find a different way around it. 1 grenade left in the Pocket of Spirits might be the only way they can try and get anything done on the square side of the map, which might be why Kino is running away from it, because there are other things they gotta focus on first.
Warden and Mirror as the 2 bans mean that Valkyrie is going to play a huge part here. If there's any region that tends to like Valkyrie the most, it's always LATAM. And if you look at the career stats of some of these players, Valkyrie tends to be the top frag getter for a lot of these LATAM squads. It's been a very quick round in terms of timing. And speaking of the Valkyrie, and Fantasy is dead. 4 big kills, and that's it. In the grave he goes. 35 seconds left. A bit of a brief pause. It's an open area execute for XSET as they burn an Adrenal Surge. Still 2 remaining. Might want to use one in the post plant. Wait for it to reset. XSET have only 1 player below 100% HP. That's Spirits himself, and he's already having a better game than he did previously on Finka. So there you go. Handy watches the hatches. Here it comes, and he misses an opportunity on Kino. He claims the scalp otherwise, but there's still 2 more from XSET there. as down goes all of FURIA, leaving Miracle in a 1v3, but he's got the Alda. He can chew through multiple opponents. Diffuser getting planted. Where are you? To drop onto Spirits, but then through the hatch, Miracle goes. The Diffuser will get planted, and this is a Miracle mile for FURIA if they want to come back. He catches Diaz pulling off of the plant. Diffuser still down. So many bullets left in that Alda still. 24 to his name. You have to check to the left. You walk right in. Oh, Diaz almost misses out on it, but gets it in the end and then pulls the goo out before he gets the final kill. XSET answers back. These teams are tied at 1 apiece.
And the thing about XSET there is that even if Miracle had gotten that for that kill in the small box against the Hibana, Yogg on the block was going up above to try and get that post-man position. So it really was a doomed position for Miracle and for FURIA, because even if you've gotten this kill, there is almost no way. Diaz recognized that he whiffed in the Time magazine there. He was not happy with that performance. But yeah, even if you had managed to win that 1v1 in the small box, Yogg was up above. You don't have time to run all the way up the main stairs, and you likely won't be able to win the challenge on the vertical angle neither. So really well played postman for XSET. They played a safe set. We're not going to toss this round. One person play aggressive. I'm going to chill out and take. Now instead, or the postman rather, now instead going upstairs to CEO, this is arguably the most lethal bomb site that we see on Bank, because it comes down to gunfights. There's no real good strategical way to approach this bomb site as a defender. It's not like, oh, deny the wall, barricades and windows, we'll be fine and safe and comfy. No, you got windows towards the bomb site, top of your screen. You can rappel there and get full line of sight to most areas of the bomb site itself. And you can't really play janitors, you can't really play Meeting that well. Some people try and hide inside the top tier 3 elevator, but ultimately it comes down just picking your 1v1 gunfights. It's why we see the Echo, the 1.5 scopes, etc., because you need, if you're FURIA, to try and get a kill somewhere on this map. Otherwise, surely it's over. The Warden ban also coming to great effect because Kino has picked up the Ying. And that means that, well, once the Candelas go flying, there is no one who can see anything as long as those Candelas land in a good position.
Warden was banned by FURIA, by the way, so
unfortunately,
it's almost like they're inviting this trouble onto themselves because, hey, let's ban the one operator that stops Zofia, that counters the flashbangs, that counters a Glaz, etc. Not that Warden is a staple of FURIA's defense, and I got to imagine that as Fantasy dies, by the way, to Gomez on Repel. What do we say about survivability from Fantasy here?
19%.
I have to imagine that a main reason why Warden was banned is because FURIA's got some tricks up their sleeves for when they go on to attack. They're going to need some tricks up their sleeves. This time as Rare dies too. FURIA losing out on 2 key players, and damage being done to Miracle almost costs him his life as well. STK, the first on the board for FURIA, closes the gap a little bit between these two teams, but still, a chasm will grow if XSET can get another pick. STK taking some damage now, leaving just Handy as the lone member of FURIA at full HP. Everybody on XSET is still all tip-top, and there's a Fink on the board with 3 Adrenal Surges, so if some damage is done, you can get them right back. STK might have been able to see a hand, but doesn't. Repositions. Down goes Handy, so there you go. Speaking of hands, it was the wrong one. Nice shot from STK to cut Gomez off the wire. Miracle's been dropped, so STK will need to collect him and get him back up. Do you have time? Yeah, you know that's a tough prospect, don't you? A little bit of a good rub, and Miracle's back on his feet. Both the players at about 20 HP. Diffuser still down on the ground, and I think XSET wisely understands, Nick, that this is a kill or be killed scenario. Spirits vaults in, he'll be extremely vulnerable. They're going to try to pinch these 2 players from FURIA as XSET now ascends the main stairs. Prolonged action happening at any moment. This round could potentially be over for either team, frankly, but XSET has the upper hand.
No Diffuser being picked up either. You can tell that XSET, they know they're low on HP, they know they're stuck in the corner. They're gonna go for the kills, they find one, Diaz that is, leaving STK all alone in the whole wide world with no information. 30 seconds left. No HP. If he had a little more, possible for a clutch, but now a single bullet will take him out. It is Spirits looking for his 4th kill, doing a lot better this series. Look at this, like, XSET slowing down. Trying to play together, wrap on the window, walk up the staircase. He can't kill you all. It's Yogg from behind. Been resolved.
It's finished! We're back in the game. So, what I speculated is actually what happened, Nicholas.
Okay.
Basically, when they took the timeout on FURIA's side of things, Bodega could not speak to his team. So the whole timeout goes with Bodega being unable to speak to the team, and then they get him a proper headset that is now working and functioning, and now Bodega is able to talk to his team, and now we're in the game. So XSET getting a little bit of a refresher and primer right before we launch back in, but you're correct. There are players and professional athletes who can tell you about a match 4 months ago and the minutia of a round or a certain play, etc. And there are people who play Rainbow Six who are in the exact same boat. Are the players on XSET like that? I don't know. I mean, that's a question I can answer. I don't think any of us can answer that question except for the players on XSET themselves. All I know is that FURIA have changed some things up. They've changed up their roster. They're bringing the Valkyrie. Instead, there's no Echo on the board. Still a little bit of a difference.
Yeah, minor things really. Still semi-aggression. Fantasy is still fighting.
And Fantasy almost dies early on yet again as he gets into a fight down by Printer in open area. Some spray through the wall. Both he and Yaga taking some damage.
Yeah, he stays alive though, and with both the Jaeger and the Momai on the board for FURIA as well, that means they can play, you know, safe-ish in corners on the bomb site. Want to fear the grenades as much from the windows at least, but there is still this threat from down below. It is Spirits creeping, lingering around, getting some yellow pinks and drone information. If you are on the attack inside, that's some verticality right there. I didn't see it myself, and now that Spirits, it took a bunch of damage in the process. If you're XSET, you gotta actually slow down your gameplay and start looking for these Valkyrie cameras, because if you can't find them because you don't have an IQ, that means disaster. And you see it right here. When you're standing still as a player looking towards the ceiling in the corners, that is a player trying to be efficient with his time, looking for those black eye Valkyrie cameras while just waiting for his team to get up next to him. So
A bomb has been located.
you see them just kind of scout the room.
It's a nice play, though, in order to try and damage XSET, but there's Fantasy again, that survivability rate. He got 4 kills at the tail end of the first round, or second round, rather, and then died early. Died in round number 3, died in round number 4, and hasn't really done all that much other than just winnow down whatever HP Spirits and Yaga had. There's a final Adrenal Surge that now goes out. Spirits is close to full HP, but that's as close as he's going to get, and now he's at no HP because STK punishes him. And E1D burned out by Kino now to try and pin down the remaining players of FURIA all across the map. They decide to swing instead. STK is really feeling one. And even though he's only got 3 kills, they've been relatively high impact so far. The Buck hops in the window of Yaga and now can very easily see around the shield. And there you go. But let's talk about feeling it. STK a huge kill. He's got more lined up for that window. Bit of a blind spot on main stairs. He doesn't know exactly where they're going to come from. Could Diaz be the next one in? The next target for STK? And a third head for the Mantle.
This shield is causing so many troubles because there's only one great target of Gomez. He's nowhere nearby to find it. So STK stays alive, so does the shield.
And there's STK again. How does XSET not know how to deal with him? This one, Mai has gotten all of his kills from the same area. Finally, Kino takes him down. But FURIA has such an advantage with only 10 seconds left that it seems almost impossible that XSET will come out ahead. Gomez blows himself up, and it's Kino now in a 1v2. It's doable. 2 seconds left. All he has to do is find the last player. Where are you, Rare? Hiding is where you are. FURIA takes the round. Kino runs out of time. I want to see how Gomez blew himself up, by the way, because that grenade kill was so poorly timed. And frankly, could have been a very winnable round.
It could have been, and I mean, they struggled with his shield next to stock the entire round. That grenade that Gomez took himself out with, that was the one grenade they needed earlier in the round to take down the shield. We don't get a replay, I don't think, but he was like near that CO wall, maybe inside CO, maybe on the rappel even. Cooked the grenade for too long or something like that. Maybe it hit a wall, bounced back, I'm not sure, but either way, that was a very winnable round that all of a sudden became less winnable because a 2v1 was turned to a 1 versus 1 with very little time left. It happens, unfortunately. There used to be this saying in Europe that it's a Panix grenade, because the good old French player called Panix, he would very often, way too often, end up grenading himself as well, going all the way back to year 1 or year 2 of the Rainbow Six Siege program. Got a history there. Open area. We'll go back here once again. Last time the XSET they came out on top, it was that 1 versus 2 situation between Diaz and Yogg against the Miracle. And it was a rather successful round for XSET across the entire board. FURIA is starting off strong in the same similar fashion, starting upstairs, looking for drones, denying those rotational areas, putting down some musty pests to try and deny information, possibly gain some. And up in the lineup-wise, well, the only real big difference here is that we're bringing the IQ on the Gomez. That means that we are now in this position that, yeah, the Valkyrie cameras are a problem. We keep getting spotted, they have information, and we're struggling against it. So we are now forced to attack a repick onto the IQ whose sole purpose, the only real value you gain, is to counter the Valkyrie. Sure, you can see the Banshees, the Evil Eyes, the Jammers, whatever, but the real reason why you pick her is simply just to find the counters.
We've seen a couple IQs show up. The North American teams in particular have quite enjoyed her. We've seen her last when you and I casted OXG just a couple matches ago. I will say, FURIA on this defensive play have been looking for early picks through windows, through barricades, and on runouts. It's a viable strategy if you're playing on high ping, by the way. If you catch them before they catch you and you go for a swing, they might be completely unprepared for it. It's another open area defense, by the way. I'm actually quite amazed that they have not gone back downstairs to the bomb site that they won early on, which is Locker CCTV. Also, I just want to weigh in for 1 second on that previous round. Even though FURIA won it, it's not exactly the most confidence-inspiring win because it did come down to a 1v1, and there was 2 huge errors committed by XSET. Number 1, not clearing out that shield. Number 2, Gomez nading himself. So if both of those things get swung around on, I honestly think XSET have a very strong chance of taking the round.
I get the statement, and we see here both teams actually playing it slower, XSET taking the time they need, and surprisingly, FURIA not contesting any gunfights right now. Fantasy himself has not really fired a single bullet towards an enemy just yet, and this means that the time will be taken down, might be favoring the defenders you might think. But the thing is, once XSET they get going, they get very explosive. This is where our eyes gotta be on Spirits when the execute comes around, because he'll be leading the charge with this Finka LMG. Gonna open up that soft destruction above the reinforced wall, chuck a grenade, clear out the jammer, and then the wall can get opened up. That's gonna allow XSET to now capitalize onto the bomb side from multiple angles, as Yug is also in the window.
These teams have been trading these opening picks back and forth. It hasn't really given any great indicator as to who goes on to win the round, but only 30 seconds left, and XSET have the 2 kills onto FURIA. FURIA looking for more, but they aren't really coming up with anything at all. Empty-handed it is. Nade tossed in by Spirits. He thinks there's one around the corner. Miracle tries to get to the bomb site, can't do it. STK on the flank. A flawless round, no longer available with Gomez dropping. But boy, oh boy, this is going to be tough. STK gets droned out, and he doesn't even make it past the blue doorway. XSET regain the lead by picking off STK. And just like that, open area again goes in XSET's favor.
And I think this just shows what the strengths of FURIA and XSET both are. FURIA are the strongest when they are fighting their opponent, not when they're setting up a fortress and problems for XSET to problem solve. XSET's not a team that we're thinking, wow, these guys are so strategical. They know how to grenade shields and clear the aces perfectly, because we saw in their zero attack, they didn't do that correctly. They jumped in the window, took the gunfight, they lost it, and that's why FURIA won the round. So, FURIA, play to your own strengths, and of course, don't play into XSET strengths of fighting 1 versus 1 necessarily on the bomb side. I think the roam game, the early round shenanigans, that's where FURIA is the strongest, and the late round execute, so to speak, is always where attackers are the most favored, because they have the utility and they have the information game with the drones on the bomb side. So unless you have a strategic advantage, whether it be a C4, a toxic bait, deny the plant, or the time running so far down, you don't want it to get all that way down there. In the opening round, basement defense from FURIA, the reason why they won was because the timer was so low, the Goyo canister blew up, and XSET was forced to execute with 14 or 16 seconds left. That works. When you give XSET a full minute to work with, like on the open area attack, not gonna work. Let's see if FURIA keeps it aggressive. We still see Rare roaming around. He was top floor, now he's first floor, still looking for a drone to catch those mossy pests. That will grant his team and further advantage to gain some further information as well. STK has an impact in his pocket, important to note, because he might be stuck in CO, you think, but he does have a way out if he needs it. He gets used, Hatch might be open for him, I don't know, doesn't look like it, but he's running for the hills, because he's very much alone. Actually, Andy's nearby, he's not that much alone anymore.
Andy's in trouble right now. He's the lowest performer on FURIA, tied with Miracle. They're both actually having terrible games in terms of their potential. Miracle in particular, who we hyped up before getting into the game. Miracle is by far and away the best player statistically when it comes to getting kills on FURIA, and yet doesn't have much to show for it so far. It's really masking the fact that FURIA has been so competitive here, because you could very easily be pointing the fingers at Miracle. STK has been the standout performer, high impact kills, gets spotted inside a lobby, but has some backup by the main lobby desk, and it's Spirits to fall first. FURIA starting things off quite strongly. Spirits will have no adrenal surges to use, nor any nades whatsoever, as unlucky for XSET. FURIA gets a big pick, and with 90 seconds left, that's it. They immediately cede that map control and get back into the bomb site as quickly as they can.
That's a round or not a round victory, so to speak, but that's like the early mid game is won for FURIA, and they played exactly to what I would argue is their strength. Playing the map in the early stage, shutting down XSET injuries, because now they got a kill, sure, lost some HP, no big losses though, and they've burned more than half the round timer. Now XSET can walk on in, now they can start breaching and open up those hatches, but then they have to work either the backside or the front. They have such little time to commit. They've lost Spirits, they lost the finger, they've lost 2 of their grenades, so that leaves only Gomez left with any explosive utility. Kino does straight back on the smoke, that's a huge kill for them. This makes the timer seem a little bit less bad, because Toxic Babes is the main factor for how they're going to start winning this round on the defensive side, and that's now gone.
That wall was left open deliberately so that return fire could be exchanged from FURIA should they want to, and now begins the rhythm of trying to bait out nitro cells and toxic canisters. Pre-ripped, and out it goes, but it gets shot in the mid-air. Again, somebody playing aim lab before the matchup. Gomez taking some damage, and down he goes to STK as they trade it out, and now will do so again with Handy being eliminated from this round. Final round of the defense for FURIA. XSET looking to go for the throat. They have 2 more players to find. They ran into a brick wall, which was the clock previously. Fantasy creeps up in the middle of the smoke. Look at him go. Talk about survivability, but right now it's his opponents who aren't surviving at all. But XSET fires back, and they win the duel. It's close, but XSET comes out ahead, and they take the first half 4-2.
That they do, and I will say that Fantasy, you almost salvaged the round by creeping through the smoke, but then you keep peeking the chassis afterwards. Such a good early round. You saw it there, the creep up as well, and then it's Deagle time, swing left and swing right. Could have walked back out through the smoke maybe, saved himself some time. There was only 6 or 5 seconds left. XSET, they were forced to go for the kills. They couldn't both plant and cover multiple angles, but we can't talk too much about the past, because it is about the present and the rounds to come. Side swap is not going to be coming out. Open area start for XSET. They're going to start in a different fashion, because FURIA, they preferred the basement bomb side, and they played open area twice. FURIA lost both of those defenses. So what are the big differences we'll see? Well, Spirits is playing Alibi. Not sure that's going to be a key factor, so to speak, but it's a gun that he likes to play. You have 1 deployable shield, 2 deployable shields, and you have 2 C4s on top of that too. Of course, the Valkyrie will be in play almost every single round, that's expected. Looking at FURIA, attack or repick. Well, would you look at that? 5 operators have been changed to 5 new unique operators on top of that. The Lion, the Ying, the Ash, the Bog, and the Amaro. This looks like a fast kind of play, because no heart breach, no secondary heart breach gadget. This is a 5-man gun kill strategy. It has to be, because you can't do anything else but that.
All right, well, tail of the tape, shall we, Nick?
Let's do it.
We've got 1 more time to do this, which will be in our next matchup, which is CAG versus FURIA. When it comes to opening picks, the teams traded back and forth. They both got 3 entry picks to their name. XSET won 2 of those rounds, lost 1. Ditto with FURIA. They won 2 of those rounds, lost 1. In terms of the site rotation, it was Lockers, Open Area, and CEO get played. No Tellers Archives. That's not that strange.
Nope,
and there was only 1 diffuser successfully planted by XSET. This is a very early adrenal surge, and we're about to see a rumble inside of Open as FURIA gets 2 early picks, but XSET looks to retake. Still an advantage in favor of the Brazilian squad. FURIA has control of the bomb site. They're in it to win it. And the diffuser goes down with 2 minutes still left in the round. Fantasy almost there. Down goes Rare. Miracle to cover from the doorway, and a 44-second clock starts running. Look at that damage done to Fantasy. E1D keeps them all in place. Spirits doesn't know if there's one over by the stairs. Instead, he'll look over towards Cubicle, sees a head for a second, cannot out-duel any of the players inside. Miracle takes no damage in the process. DS from above, and he gets 2 huge kills. A retake is very possible. FURIA's gambit was to get in as quickly as they could, and they've been swatted away. XSET takes control of the bomb site, grabs the diffuser, and they stretch their lead. They're up 5-2.
I've seen this happen before, Parker. I think this is where XSET are disgusting when it comes to how they play together as a team. They might be a new team. They might not be the smartest team, some would argue, but they have, as I mentioned, the power of friendship. The way they play these retakes on the bomb side, in their opening game in the NAL in the first week, they played against SSG, and something very similar happened. Sure, it wasn't a rush from the hatch below with Amaru, but it was the same similar rush from the bottom square double door from SSG, and it looked like SSG planted, win the round, just like FURIA did. But in XSET, they do the unimaginable. They win a retake, 4 versus 3 on defense. They don't care about the post plant. They ran out above from Diaz, C4'd the floor with the mute, got 2 vertical kills, got 1 kill before that even, and that's gonna bring you back. While the vertical chaos was happening, both members from XSET on the bomb side, they pushed on up and took control so that they were stuck in those corners. They couldn't exit, which gave Diaz an easy time and made quick work of them from above. So friendship might actually play a big factor in some of these rounds, because if you have good synergy and you understand how one another plays, that's gonna give you a slight edge, because if you gotta slow down and stop and say, alright guys, I'm gonna do this, you do that, and then 1, 2, 3, it just takes a little bit more time. And while I'm sure that they did communicate what they were gonna do, they also know exactly what the plan was there. It was pixel perfect, it was a nice try from FURIA, and they did succeed in their original strategy of rushing and planting, but retakes, that's where XSET's the strongest. It's a bad thing to be good at, because it kind of inclines that your opponent has to succeed first, but it worked out.
It goes back to what I said before we got into this matchup. The one hallmark of a good XSET game is that they are never out of a round, and they're never out of a matchup, and that round is a perfect example of it.
Absolutely.
They had full control of the retake. Nobody from FURIA bothered upstairs. Nobody from FURIA came even close to understanding where they were off site. But hold on a second. They want to set a land speed record, because they're 10 seconds ahead of the previous round. Diaz takes out STK, grenade goes in, Handy taking damage, it ticks away. Oh no! Diaz the hero again, 2 big kills from XSET. FURIA want these go for broke strategies, but broke is where they find themselves. Miracle the lone kill. Still 2 minutes to go, Nick. And it's FURIA trailing as Spirits has been picked off.
Absolutely, Diaz, the hero, once again, as you said. I mean, he's now sitting on 12 kills and a single death. Diaz continues the streak, triple kill for him. Miracle off the board, leaving just Rare and Fantasy to try and figure out if they can get some damage done with some kills, or preferably try and get this round. The issue is no hard breach, basement bomb site, hatches electrified and reinforced. Diaz still hiding inside of open area cubicles, and he's looking for a fight. And right now, FURIA too afraid to give it to him, or at least choosing not to.
Oh my, Diaz still up top, looking for kill number 4. How nice would an ace be for XSET to move them to match point? Diaz's motion will have to stop and cease for a second as the EE1D from FURIA has at least a brief delay or a pause here. Nitro Cell goes out from Rare and ace denied as it's Gomez to do it. Gomez and Diaz, teammates for so long. Fantasy finds one on a Diaz from above, but there's still so much more to go, and Fantasy has just a fraction of his HP. He'll just dwindle on top of that hatch, but pick up a big kill. This is still winnable, but it is a dire position for Fantasy to be in. It's a 1v2 and a death drop through the hatch. Another EE1D will go down. Diffuser planting might actually be the play here, but Fantasy just walks right in. There's surely no way he pulls this off, right? Right. Kino says no thanks. Match point it is for XSET.
It is unbanked. Look at the shotgun power from Kino. They must have called out that he was low on HP, because there is no way you're going to swing them with a shotgun with confidence, thinking you take him out if he's full. Nice wallbang there. We see Diaz inside of open area, getting his 3rd kill. We see Fantasy making quick work on some arguably pointless exit frags, but exit frags are only exit frags if you don't clutch out the round. Had he found those last 2 kills, that would be a clutch instead. So, sure, those kills won't matter now because they did not win the round, but that is how a clutch begins. Starts with 1, follows with a 2nd, and ultimately sometimes you get all 5 or all 4. CEO, XSET's first time going to this bomb site. The 3rd defense from this side. They went open, then basement, then CEO. They've brought the castle. This is like the stellar numero uno pick for the bomb site. You can kind of restructure it around the 9 lines of sight. These double windows you see Spirits barricading right now. Extremely common to barricade at least one of those. And then this single window right there that he's doing right now. Super important. Denies a good line of sight from the northeast rappel. They can see all the way towards the 90 wall, deny a mute jammer or deny position, and that is why we're gonna make all those windows hard like steel, if you will, with those castle barricades.
It's going to be the first first CEO defense, as the rotation for XSET has been open area lockers and then CEO.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see the way XSET changes things up against what FURIA did on defense. In terms of operator ability, this might be where the Warden ban came in handy, as now FURIA has actually taken advantage of it. They banned Warden, likely to keep XSET off of that, but then didn't bring much that benefits from no Warden.
Not till now.
That's what the Ying is for.
Yeah, that's what the Ying's for. Ying smoking is as well, Twitch as well, also being 2 smokes. Fantasy is quite the Twitch player, also quite the finger player, but it's STK who's been given the finger duties right now, because Fantasy is doing the Twitch drone duties. Likely looking for that mute jammer on the 90 wall, because, well, it's gone. So probably got destroyed by the Twitch drone.
Very possible. We talk about the players who are the best performers on the team heading into this matchup. Historically, it's been both Miracle and Handy who actually have the most healthy KD on the team. But you wouldn't know it if you took a look here, because they are just simply not performing up to snuff. It's lucky that STK has been so good, though not a single player on FURIA is positive. The closest is Fantasy, who is 7-7. That's about it. I mean, that's also very reductive. We just talk about kills and nothing more than that. But honestly, the strategic element from FURIA has also been missing, which is what leads to these 1v1 duels, which they just simply don't win.
It is, and speaking of not winning, Rare almost got taken out there by the UMP of Spirits. Although, with the Adrenal Surges, will still stay alive for a bit longer. We got 2 more of those to go if he should need it. Nate goes out, goes flying. That is an easy kill because Spirits is 1 HP. It's a nice toss, though. Candela's coming out. Slide execute here as they keep pushing forward.
And that's 2 picks for FURIA. They're going to keep this ball rolling, make that 3. Fantasy coming alive. Gomez has the cross and does damage to STK, but not enough to finish him off. Now it's Yaga to pick off 1. More marks to give him information as to the other players, but he's in trouble. He's going to need Gomez to come to the rescue. They're playing quite far removed from each other. Handy has that diffuser in hand, and with Yaga down, Gomez needs to do something, literally anything. I don't think he has a good idea of where they are. Off of the rope, Miracle gets cut on the main lobby windows, but Handy gets the diffuser down properly. At the top of the stairs, Gomez will have to deal with a jiggle peek and an LMG, which has roughly 10 times the munition. An easy round for FURIA after they got those first couple picks. Fantasy looked great, and they very much stay in this, even if XSET still sit on match point.
As a former competitive smoke main, that clip right there at the end is what breaks my heart, because you got 17 bullets against 100 bullets. And you saw Gomez, he had to like really try and hold back his ammunition because he had run out eventually. He had to run for the hills. LMG goes rat-tat-tat. There's no fighting that. And that is FURIA picking up their 3rd round. CEO is so hard to defend. It is that tertiary bomb site for most teams. And you might be asking, why don't these teams go Teller's Archives? And the thing is, you think CEO is hard to defend? Teller's Archives is even worse because you can't hold upstairs, as we know, so they can just go above, take the vertical control, do a ton of damage. Open area, as you see right now, is the preferred bomb sites for most teams, at least in North America. And the reason is because it plays similar to Teller's Archives, but the vertical destruction, as you see on the screen right now, much less. Only inside of the stockroom where DS is reinforcing the hatch and inside of the small janitors. Other than that, it's hard floor. So you get limited lines of sight if you're on the attacking side. You can then start top floor, drop down the hatches, make a rotate in the small box where Yaga is, play inside Teller's Archives, and all of a sudden, you're playing around the entirety of the map. There's a hatch on the bomb set that we saw Mara use earlier. You can drop to the basement. Bulletproof, inside of lobby, gonna get you a bit of information. That's also where the nuke bank comes out, because now you can no longer sneak around. With that bulletproof inside of lobby, we can confirm it is clear. So, to set the tone for XSET, they're playing the entire map, all 3 floors, and they have the Valkyrie camera information. Now we gotta see what they can do with it. Spirits has the Oryx, as Parker likes to say, the fastest operator in Rainbow Six Siege.
Am I wrong?
You're not wrong.
I'm not wrong. He is the fastest operator in the game. He can cover ground the fastest. But also on a map like Bank, really good at jumping up hatches, especially if playing an open area, which is where that bomb site is, by the way.
It's very true. You can make use of it. You don't have to. And a lot of people say, oh, if you don't jump up the hatch, then why are you playing Oryx? Well, you don't have to do it. But the option that you have, the possibility by just picking the operator, is always nice in case it comes in handy.
It's definitely something. I've been seeing a lot more of this G8 play on IQ, as it's also the gun that Amaru brings.
Yes. It's true.
Last time we saw an attack from FURIA on this bomb site, remember they were so quick and nimble to get on in because they used that Amoru to go through the hatch below and an EE1D to paralyze the defense. Didn't work out. XSET masterfully retook, as we talked about. And this time, far more methodical. They've got control of that top floor. We saw a Valkyrie camera upstairs inside of CEO. Miracle has some difficulties with the recoil, and it necessitates an adrenal surge called out as Gomez's desperation nitro cell does not connect. He gets found out by the buck above. FURIA, a big opening pick. And that'll give them some breathing room as another adrenal surge gets used, and it's Fantasy to pick one off too. Fantasy's been really heating up and leading his team, now breaking into the double digits with kill number 10. A bit of a calm before the storm. Spirit's still off-site. That means only 2 players from XSET that might be holding off the bomb site itself. And there's the speed of Oryx that we talked about. Look at how quickly he can get out of there.
Bomb site park rate's weak. Nate's going out, Toxic Babe as well. Going to stall the attackers for a moment, but knowing SDK, knowing FURIA, this is not going to stop them for long because they want to keep working their aggression. They got the man advantage. Look at the flank, the timing, but the pillar denies it. Yellow ping, nope, does not win the gunfight. It is SDK to take it.
And that's a big play, and Diaz gets one, but immediately Fantasy nails them all. What a round from him, 2 rounds in a row, where Fantasy becomes reality. And FURIA are clawing it back. They've still got 2 more rounds for overtime, but they are denying XSET an opportunity to close this one out. This is the XSET that we were worried about that showed up against Liquid. They were up 4-0. Oh, they had all the confidence in the world. Liquid looked humble. And then Liquid started scaling the mountain, and the mountain started getting a little bit easier, and all of a sudden the peak is within sight. XSET gets 1 round to 7 rounds for Liquid, and XSET doesn't even make it to overtime. Now the thing is, for XSET, they're guaranteed 1 point here, win or lose. Well, if they win, they're going to get 2. If they lose, they get 1. But they're going to overtime no matter what. Again, with how close these points are, FURIA sitting at 3 points, XSET sitting at 3 points, CAG, who plays FURIA in the next match, also at 3 points. A win in regulation is a huge opportunity for these teams to get ever closer to making it out of the group and into the playoffs.
And this is not like the last option or last result for XSET, but they've been beaten on every bomb site besides the basement one. They've won it last time they went there, and that was really all we saw from it. They have to win it this time to avoid OT, or at least not to avoid it necessarily, but they have a much better time on the basement bomb side overall. It would mean a 6-5 scoreline if they lost it. They're doing a different approach though. They are roaming. The castle signifies that, as well does the vigil. But don't be fooled. It's not all eggs in one basket, because you still got the passive operators, DNC4 and Mute with the MP5K, C4 on the Kaid. Kaid himself can electrify the hatches, and Kino on the smoke, and Spirits, it pays off because the roam and not being able to see by the drones means an early picking for him onto SDK and the finger.
XSET really have lived and died off of these individual performances. Another for Spirits. He's inside of stock trading, and down another player from FURIA goes. Fantasy, who'd been so hot, removed. And these are 2 huge operators gone, Zofia and Finka. The LMGs on both of those operators gone. Those are bullet hoses, out of action, adrenal surges, out of action, stuns, gone. You don't have the nades either, and Spirits is just on a tear. They're collapsing on him, and he's got the FG for the ace, and a flawless one at that. What the hell did we just witness? Just when we think he couldn't go any lower than the previous match, he goes and totally redeems himself. An absolutely mind-blowing end, and the redemption arc for Spirits, well, it comes to a